you were here at Southwestern.
Okay, so hi guys, my name is Kentia McLemore, and I graduated from Southwestern in '98. I'm currently the owner of Targeted Fit Career Consulting, where I primarily work with women, helping them with crafting a career path that is unique to them and the lifestyle that they desire. Offering coaching, career coaching, as well as resume writing and LinkedIn profile writing services. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm currently living and providing this webinar to you from Taiwan. While I was out at Southwestern, I was just talking with Robin and Laura and Diana about going to Mexico and learning Spanish in summer school. That's really, I think, one of my most impactful memories from Southwestern. My professors were awesome in encouraging me because I was really afraid to leave the country. But I knew I needed to in order to get my Spanish going. So that was really awesome. And I mean, I just loved every part of my experience at Southwestern. So that's a little bit about me. So we can go ahead and dive right in. Let me share with you guys. Let's see. There we go. My PowerPoint here. All right. Here we go. All right, guys. So today, what we're going to talk about is building a LinkedIn profile to get results. So I'm going to give you some details to help you build out a profile that will get the attention from the recruiters that you're interested, of course, in getting when you are doing your job search. So what we're going to talk about is, first, it's important to understand what LinkedIn is and how it works in order for it to be beneficial to you. And then we'll talk about your career brand. This is something that I think a lot of people don't understand. You want to be consistent in your brand across your job search, because really it's not a search, it's a job campaign in today's market. And then we'll talk about the content that matters to LinkedIn's AI and how to boost your results in those searches that recruiters are doing online. So let's get started with what is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is really just a massive database. Okay, so it has trillions of possibilities of connecting data. So why is that important to know for you? Because the data that you provide to LinkedIn is going to increase the connections that you have. So the more data that you provide about yourself to LinkedIn, the better, and that will boost the results that you have. So with LinkedIn, there are over 740 million active users. So LinkedIn can be beneficial to you not only in your local area or your local network, but worldwide. So if you're open to, looking for employment, not only even within the US, but outside the US, you definitely want to be a part of LinkedIn. So over 94% of recruiters in today's market use LinkedIn. So that's another key reason to have a profile. 55 million companies are listed on LinkedIn right now. I will say that a lot of companies aren't very active on LinkedIn as a company, but more individuals. So from the recruiter side, of course, the job seeker side, but LinkedIn is currently working on building that part out of the platform. So that's something that, we can look to the future to see how they're going to use that to aid companies in finding job seekers as well. Now, on LinkedIn, of course, you can apply directly for jobs. So over 100 million job applications are made monthly. I think Laura just talked about she made an application on LinkedIn. I personally have found jobs, not even just applying on LinkedIn, but having people reach out to me. So, that's another plus for having your profile updated. And again, like I said, connectivity, the keywords, this content that you're providing, that is really what is driving LinkedIn's likability towards you. Okay, so you don't want to have a basic profile. You definitely want to provide as much content and have as much interaction as possible. So let's look at this chart here. So this chart, what you see in red, basically this is a list of all the sections that are available and the number of characters you can put in each section. And also I identified here like what keywords can be searched from those sections, or what sections can be searched for keywords. So in this first section that you see in red, this is the most important section according to the LinkedIn algorithm. Okay, when a search is done, these are the first sections that the AI is going to go to for the search. So your headline under your name, your summary, those areas are super important for you to have updated and aligned with your career brand. And then after those sections are searched, it's going to go to the areas that are in blue. Okay, so in the experience sections. And again, those are areas, of course, that you have the freedom to craft and create and provide content to LinkedIn. So that those sections are secondary, but still important to have completed and updated. And then the other sections, those are third in line, but still important because, like I said, the more you provide, the better. So if you have any areas where you do have information that you could add, for example, with publications or certifications, projects that you've worked on, you still would want to add information in those areas because it still counts. Okay, so let's talk about your career brand. So when I think about career brand, I think about my clients who say, but I'm not a marketing person. Well, in today's market, thanks to social media, we have to be sort of marketing professionals because we have to market ourselves. So we really have to, create an image. Of course, we want it to be truthful to who we are, but an image that puts our best foot forward, that is consistent. So, your headshot, consistently using it in on your bio or on your LinkedIn profile, consistently using the same type of description and experience listing, being consistent as far as job history, keeping everything the same across the board. And truly knowing what type of position you are targeting is very important. Sometimes I think that job seekers are like, well, I could do a lot of things, especially when you've gained experience. I could do 5 different jobs, but what is your focus? So in order to have a brand and to stick with it and be consistent and present to potential employers, what you want to do and what value you can add, you have to decide what position is your target and stick with that. Okay. So what is your promise? So these brands, they all have their promise, right? So FedEx is the world's on time, meaning they're giving those on-time deliveries. Subway, eat fresh, fresh food. And then we've got Citibank, the city that never sleeps. So when you think of this, you kind of have to think about your brand, but also, what is your normal elevator pitch? Kind of goes hand in hand. What are those things that you are sharing that you add value, or you can add value to a potential employer? So you want your LinkedIn to be aligned with, that information as well, that elevator pitch. So let's go to this. So I love this slide because what do the Osbournes and Mickey Mouse have to do with each other? Not much, right? So you're not going to see, the Osbournes advertising for Mickey Mouse. It's just not going to happen. So again, that really goes back to when you're presenting yourself on LinkedIn, you want to be consistent. So, for example, I have a business, right? But I also have a history of working in human resources. So on LinkedIn, I want business from potential clients. So I'm not advertising for a job in HR. Everything on my LinkedIn, yes, of course, I have my work history, but everything on my LinkedIn profile, all the primary areas when there is a search done, is all leading towards my career coaching business. So everything that I present is as a career coach. So you want to make sure that you not only are staying consistent with the particular job that you're seeking, but the skill sets that you're highlighting. You want to make sure that those things are demonstrating how you would add value, what would be the ROI, return on investment, for that potential employer if they were to hire you. So it's really important that you identify these things, and you identify them in a way that is not being repetitive with your resume. You've got to show differentiation in that area, because in reality, and we'll talk about this a little more, but LinkedIn really is just a little bit more personal, because you want them to get an idea not only of what your experience is, but what your personality would be. Okay. All right. So the content that matters. So we're going to talk about your profile picture, the banner photo, your headline, the about section, and your experience section. And I'm going to give you guys some examples on what these things should look like. And then we'll talk a bit about the supporting sections as well. So let's talk about that profile picture. I see a lot of crazy profile pictures on LinkedIn. So we want to remember that, again, we're putting our best foot forward. So you want to look like this professional young lady here to the left. You want a professional headshot. You want it to be clear. You definitely want to smile, because this is your first impression to a recruiter or a potential employer. The pictures on the right, those are all fun and great for Facebook and Instagram. But remember, LinkedIn is a professional platform. I know that when you go on LinkedIn, you may see other people sharing things that are more like, Facebook or Instagram, that type of thing. But really, if you're in the midst of a job campaign, or really any time, because if you're open to work, you want to present the best possible representation of you. So you want to keep it professional with your photo, your professional headshot, as well as any other photos that you would share on LinkedIn. All right, so let's talk about the banner. So you want to have the banner, the picture behind your headshot. You want to have a banner there. You don't want it to be blank. And that's really a space where you can present your brand. Okay, so these pictures here at the bottom, I just pulled them off of Google. Okay, so that's an example. If you want things to look a little more professional, you can use Canva, which is what I use for my banner with targeted fit. I created it myself. It was pretty easy if you're, savvy with creating things, the look of things. You can use free Canva to create that, but just remember, you want it to be consistent with what value you're adding and what you are targeting. All right, so with the headline section, really this is, I guess we could call it the summary section. So you've got your primary headshot and then the banner. With your name, you want to remember that you have the ability to create a tagline, okay, right below. So you want to start with your titles, okay, and this is going to be, this area is different from what is connected. This headliner is different from what is connected under your experience. So this is really what is presented. If someone is looking on their desktop or on their mobile phone, this is the information that they're going to see when they're looking at your profile. You definitely want the headline with the job titles to match what you're targeting, and then create a short brand tagline. It can be part of, like I said before, part of your elevator pitch. You can pull from that to create a tagline, and then writing it in present tense or progressive tense. Okay, so just keep in mind that is the first impression that someone is going to see of you when they pull either your profile up on a desktop or on their mobile. Okay. All right, so here are a couple of examples of headlines, and I'm going to take a sip of water quickly. So you can see these examples started with just a simple job title, but the ones that are changed are adding value. They're highlighting skill sets, and these are hard skills as well as soft skills. So for example, a hard skill, if that's something that causes you a little confusion, a hard skill would be something like data analytics, business intelligence, okay? And then the soft skills would be more like the loyalty and engagement, communication, okay? So these are the types of things that you want to add, and you can get ideas for the types of hard skills and soft skills that are good to highlight here from job ads. Looking at, I'd say 5 to 6 job ads, looking at keywords, doing a search for keywords related to the job title you're targeting. That will help you in deciding what type of keywords would be good to place in your headline here that would be attractive to recruiters and hiring managers. All right, so with your about section, this is a really, really important section because this is the first place or one of the first places that the algorithm goes to look for information. And you have 2,600 spaces to really tell someone who you are, okay? You want this to be more of a storytelling format, telling things about you that are not on the resume, okay? So for example, volunteer experience that maybe has contributed to your abilities in your professional role, any travels or experiences that you've had, again, that all feed back into how you can add value and what makes you unique and special, which will make you attractive to that potential employer. All right. And I just wanted to make sure, keep your paragraphs at 4 to 6 lines, because just like on a resume, you don't want things to be too long, because remember, most people's attention span is pretty short nowadays. So if you keep it in shorter paragraphs, even though you have all of that space, it's really better because it's more appealing to today's reader. All right, guys, so here is an example. Sorry, it's a little blurry with my copy and pasting, but you can see that this person is talking from, a first person standpoint, talking about things that are, they love. For example, I love to dig into my gut instinct. You can see that they're being personal, but also giving the details that really add value. For example, optimizing the software product portfolios from 5 million to 1 billion. So it's really a mix of being personal, but also showing how you have added value, what have been your accomplishments in your career, and then sharing things that you would like to talk about. So for example, this person mentioned baseball. Okay, if that's something that really helps you in an interview process, if you see that people always want to know about your college baseball years, or whatever extracurricular activities, if you were on the volleyball team or something like that, this is a place too that you want to mention that. You could mention if you won a championship or something like that as well. So whatever those conversation starters normally are, these are the types of things that you can work into your about section. So that will give those hiring managers and recruiters also something to kind of get a conversation started with you as well if they reached out to you on LinkedIn. All right, so here's some suggestions for things to talk about, because we're all different. We all have different backgrounds. We have different targeted careers or positions. And so you want to have a variety within your about section. So you really just have to decide what will work best for you and where you can add value. And so then that will decide, what type of things you want to talk about here. All right, so let's jump into the experience section. So for the experience section, of course, I think the career experience is something that is, pretty easy to do, because it's going to be the same as your resume, with the exception of the job description portion. You want, again, for that to highlight accomplishments or things that you may not have highlighted on your resume, because what you don't want is when you send your resume in for it just to be the exact same thing as what someone would see on LinkedIn. Now, if you have something that's a major accomplishment, like, you sold your business or sold like $1 billion in business, for example, if you're in sales, it's okay to have that type of thing, the same as on the resume, just present it in a little bit of a different way. But try to identify different experiences so that they're not just getting the same thing when your resume is sent in. And then don't forget that your volunteer experience, that can also be part of your career experience. So you can create a career entry for your volunteer experience and give an overview of that, especially if you've been on, board of directors or had experiences where you led certain projects, or even if you're, of course, the creator of an organization, you definitely want to include that within your experience. So let's take a look at some examples here. So with the career experience and giving the details, again, I personally like to break it out into sections. You can use a website, it's called Cool Symbols, and find little symbols that you can use that you feel may align with your brand. So for example, like if you're like a massage therapist or something, you could find like a leaf or something like that may fit in with your type of with your industry, basically. But breaking things out and giving what an overview basically of the position, and then what the key accomplishments were, that's really what you want to do. But of course, presenting it in a more personal way. So for example, in this person's example, they use game-changing innovation or out-of-the-box thinking as their headers there. Oops. All right. So I jumped over to the volunteer experience here. So with the volunteer experience, it's really important, I think, what was in here is to identify what the role was. So what were you doing within the organization? And then you can identify either, what you learned or, what you accomplished as well within the volunteer experience. Diana, how are we doing on time?
We're good.
All right. All right, guys. So support experience or support sections. Under your career experience, you will see under each of your entries that you have the option to add media. So in that section, you can download copies of certifications that you received that are relevant to that particular job, or links. For example, if you have a portfolio online, you can link your portfolio there, or any other images. For example, if you received an award and you have pictures of receiving their award, you could attach it there, or any other documents, like if you had something published. So those are things that I do suggest doing because it gives more information about your accomplishments, and it's not necessarily something that you have to have a bullet point about. And it could be something that is on your resume, but it's an easier way for you to connect it to that career experience and to that particular job. Now, on your picture on LinkedIn, your headshot, you have a plus sign. So there you have the opportunity to do a cover story. So it's a short intro video. I think it's about 1.5 minutes. So that I do encourage you to use that. It's really a way, especially when you're, open to work or in the midst of your job campaign. It's a good way for someone to hear your voice and, for you to give that short elevator pitch up front before even meeting someone. So I would really suggest, practicing it on your phone first, recording yourself, and then, you can do the video, because you can click, when you click it, it will allow you to record. So it's not something you can download to. So you have to click it and do the recording then. Okay. Now, open to work options. The banner on the headshot, just so you guys know, that's not something that is connected at the moment to the LinkedIn algorithm. So you can do it if you want, but just know it's not really something that's helping you right now. So that's just something to know. And then for education, normally on education on resumes, professionally, we suggest not putting your education if it's older than 5 years. Now on LinkedIn, if you are open to work or looking, again, looking for a job, you probably should add those dates, because when recruiters do searches, if the education is not updated, your profile may not show up in certain searches that they're doing. So I would say if you're looking for employment, to add the dates in temporarily. Okay. And then the skills section, under the skills section, I would encourage you as well to reach out to, colleagues and friends for skills endorsements. That's really a way also to add more content and to get connected, through other people, having them basically make a recommendation for you. Okay, so in order to get those endorsements, you've got to have your skills section filled out. So you've got to take the time to go out and, enter in those skills. And it's about, the max you can enter are 50. Okay. And then skills assessments. Now this really is dependent upon your profession as to what assessments may or may not be available. If it's something that is consistently asked for in job ads that you're seeing, then I would encourage you to do the skills assessment, because then, that's an upfront, hey, yes, I can complete this skill. That's a box checked for a recruiter. And then for accomplishments, adding publications, patents, projects, awards, like I said before, the more information you provide LinkedIn, the better, because then that is going to improve your visibility with recruiters and hiring managers. All right, so how can you boost your results in the recruiter search? Having content as much as possible, okay, because all of the content, remember, is going to be scanned. Of course, we know we've talked about what areas are the most important, but all of it is going to be scanned. So you want to have as many sections updated as possible. Again, adding dates for education to make sure you're showing up in their searches. Also identifying what location you want to find a position in. Of course, in today's market, if you're looking for a remote job, that may or may not matter. But if you're looking in a specific area, Even if you're moving, for example, if you're in New York and planning to go out to California, update it with a California location, okay? Because that's where your target is. The same on your resume, just as a tip. Now, in your job search on LinkedIn, when you do searches, it's going to ask you, do you want to save this alert? You can do that. So you also, if you do that, then I'm sorry, I lost my thought. So let's talk about following companies. So with the following the companies, you want to do that because you want to know what's going on. So they're going to post job openings there. You can also save job alerts attached to, that's what I wanted to say, attached to those companies. So if you're following companies, you can select to get job alerts from them. And then sharing and commenting, okay? If you are talking about things that are related to your profession or to the companies that you're interested in, then that's going to draw attention to you. So the more participation you have, the better. Okay. All right. All right, guys. So that is my presentation. So I guess we can open it up now for questions.
Hi, Kentia. It was an excellent presentation. Thank you. I have a quick question. When you're writing for LinkedIn, I've seen some profiles that have third person point of view, and others that have first person. I noticed in the examples you shared, it was all first person. Is there a benefit or a drawback to writing in one or the other?
No, I think that writing it in first person, like I said, this is your first impression that you're giving, and you want it to be more personal, because the idea for LinkedIn is for them to not only get to know what your experience, your job experience has been, but a bit about who you are as a person and what type of fit you would be. So I always encourage writing in first person. That's how I write all the profiles for my clients.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kentia, this is Robin Clearman. You mentioned something about open to work options, but I didn't catch it exactly what that particular area for support sections would be. What is the, go ahead.
Yeah, so on right below your profile, your headshot, you have, it says open to. And so in that section or that button, basically you could click open to work. It's optional because it's not currently connected to the search algorithm with LinkedIn. So that's why I say it's optional.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Hi, Kentia. This is Leslie Alvarez, fellow class of 98 at Southwestern. And I, just to expand on that a little bit, I have reluctantly used LinkedIn. I'm in higher ed. A lot of the language doesn't translate to external audiences. So that's a curiosity I have. And I'm not actively looking, but if someone came to me and said, we would like to quadruple your salary and here's a great opportunity, then absolutely. But I don't want to send a message, especially to the people that are within my current employment network that I'm looking. So how do you navigate those sorts of things, indicating that you're interested without sending the wrong message to the people that you work with? And also, I have a copyright question too, but I would also be happy to talk more offline if that would be a better way to go about it.
Yeah, we could talk about that. So on LinkedIn, you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to list that you're open to work. if you are presenting the information of this is, you don't have to present it in a way of this is my goal or what I'm planning to do. You can just present it in a way of this is the experience that I have and the value that I am, you know, offering as a professional. I think when you do say that you are open to work, you do have the option to make it only open to recruiters. And then other people cannot see that you are searching. So that's one thing. But your activity on LinkedIn is really what is going to tell an employer, you know, whether or not you are interested in a new position, you know, having open conversations on LinkedIn about I'm looking for work or not looking for work. But if you're just participating from a professional standpoint and promoting, you know, things that are happening within your organization, and then that's fine too, because that's really not giving the idea that you're looking for a job, but you're presenting or representing your current employer. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions? So there were two questions I think that were emailed in. So I'm going to answer those right now. So the first question that I received was, what recommendations do you have for job title discrepancies? So this person said that they're currently in a title of supervisor, but basically their responsibilities are a lot more than that. So that is a common problem. Every organization has the ability to create their own job descriptions, their own job titles. And a lot of times those job titles that are created don't match what the market is advertising as far as qualifications. So change the job title to what's appropriate to your responsibility. So if you currently have a supervisor title, but really you're a senior manager, when you go out and look at job ads, and that's the title that you fall under as far as experience goes, then you should change the job title to what the market is asking for, which would be a senior manager. Now, of course, most people get nervous about that because they say, well, what happens when they do verification of employment? If you get to the point of verification of employment, you are a desired candidate, you can tell your HR person, you know, I changed the job title because, you know, it wasn't matching what I saw in the market. And that's common. It's not going to be an issue. So just let the HR person or representative know when they're doing, you know, your reference checks that the job title is going to be different. And just know that also they're only going to give the most recent job title. So you don't have to worry about them going back and checking old job titles either. Okay. And then the second question was, how can I optimize my profile so that recruiters approach me for the next job I want, not just another version of the job I have now? So that about section, that is really where you represent either like I said to Leslie, you know, what you're doing now and, you know, what contributions you're making to your organization, or the about section is going to be geared towards, this is what I can offer you. What is my value that I'm adding? And I gave you guys, I referenced like making that list of different topics you can talk about. And so it really just depends on the topics that you're presenting in that about section that really says to someone, if you're looking for the next step or you're looking to stay where you are. Okay. right. Any other questions? Robin?
I was going to say, how do we reach out to you if we want some assistance in creating? There you go.
There it is.
Yeah. So, I have a specific interest. I'm not interested in finding a new job, but I'm seeking a position in my national organization.
Okay.
And probably to be able to target those people who could vote for me for that position. And so would like to clean up LinkedIn to focus on that position. So
Okay.
I'll email you. Is that the best way?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you guys can email me directly if you're, in need of services now, or maybe later. You can be sure to reach out to me on LinkedIn and we can connect. So if it's not now, you may need me later. So I'm always happy to help.
You do have some time available now?
I do have a time available next week. Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So if you'll send me an email, Robin, I'll send you my calendar.
Sounds good.
All right.
We do have like 10 more minutes, so I don't know if anybody has any last minute questions before wrapping up.
Very good presentation. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Kentia.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you, Kentia. It was excellent. Well, I'll be reaching out to you just like Robin as well.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
In my case, I have been doing my own, before the pandemic, I was working by myself. I was self-employed. But now during the pandemic, I stopped because I decided to take care of my parents, and continue to self-employed was too risky because I could get them sick. So I stopped my own business. And now I have decided that I want to have somebody pay me for it. I don't want to keep on just grinding the thing because I want to keep on grinding. So that's one of the reasons I got back into LinkedIn and all that kind of fun stuff. So there has been a couple of years in which I have not been employed.
Okay.
I have, so what suggestion do you have? And another thing is, in my case, I was shooting for everything just because I want something. So I don't know what your suggestions you have about that.
So like I said in the presentation, don't shoot for everything. Be specific and targeted about what you're going after. Because when you are all over the place, you're not very likely to get the visibility and the attention that you want. When you have gaps in employment, you have to address it. I'll give you an example of one of my recent clients. She basically went traveling. She was laid off and she went traveling. So I just described it as a health sabbatical where she did self-care and travel. So you have to be a little creative, but of course, always be honest. But if it was a matter of you were just taking care of your parents, you could say, caretaker, that you were a caretaker during that time.
What I have done is say, well, I still had my business. I have I work for with Herbalife. So if somebody would have called me and said, I want some products, I would have figured out a way to get them some product. I did. But I wasn't looking for new clients. I wasn't looking for new people. I just wanted to keep myself safe so my parents would be safe.
All right. So you don't have to tell, remember, you don't have to tell everyone all of your business. So if you were still open to, doing some work, just continue.
My license.
I
still do my business.
Yeah. So just keep it current, I would say.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, I guess we are good to wrap up, and this recording will be available on our virtual engagement website on the Southwestern Alumni Network. But once this is up on the website, I can go ahead and send you the link as well, so everybody can have the chance to review it again. All right. Well, thank you, Kentia. And this was a great presentation. I learned a lot, so I really appreciate for your time.
Oh, no, thank you. This was a pleasure. It was great to connect with all you guys. So my fellow SU grads. So it was good to see all you guys. Thank you.